This is Kreskin, and I have a very special offer to extend to you because I think you're going to find this a very much enriching experience. It's a book, but there's very little print in the book. The story is told through the brilliant photography of an author I know, Wheeler Antabanez. The cover of the book, of course, I know we're not going to get that close at this point, but it expresses an ambition he has followed through much of his life, and that is researching and canvassing and walking and hiking the streets and the tracks of old New Jersey. And when I tell you that as a kid, looking back on my childhood, if I can regress to that point, his mentions in this book, the mentions, reawaken some very, very beautiful memories. He is a brilliant photographer. He has the ability to look at weird New Jersey as a correspondent, and his walk through the Old Boonton Line will prove to be visually rewarding. You'll find out what that means when you start turning the pages of a book, and I guarantee one thing, you're not going to be able to stop turning those pages. You will find him investigating the abandoned Old Boonton Lines, the Erie Railroad through Montclair, Glen Ridge, Bloomfield, Belleville, Newark, Kearney, Secaucus, and Jersey City. And to say that he has lived that period, I can tell you he spent hundreds of hours walking those lines and reflecting upon it. We can sense that there's a judge in these pictures because there is a message that he could not hold back in what he expressed as he shared with you and me the experiences through the visual eye. The reflections here of a deer inhabiting this suburban area today are particularly heartbreaking. The abandoned rails are a refuge for deer, coyotes, turkeys, and many other species. On page 72 is a heartbreaking reflection which refers to his present tiny enclave. On page 97 is this Kearney Bridge, which has, believe it or not, a jack-o'-lantern just submerged in all the debris. This on page 127 is a communication hub for the railroad. Can you imagine the aging history that is locked in these walls? This is a masterpiece. Wheeler has outdone himself, and I said before and suggested it with great earnest that you're going to find yourself locked in to page after page because the photos seem to tell a story. Some of it, someday, perhaps will be finished. But at the same time, we can judge in these pictures his walking through the different towns and the different cities and the different tracks, that this is a heartbreaking reflection, but it also reflects something that he could not avoid bringing up. And he mentioned this almost as a climax to his writings. He said that we can judge in these pictures, in walking through the old Boontown lines and what have you, the urge he has to convince everyone not to abandon the rails themselves, for they today are a refuge and a source of life for wild life itself. Leave the trails and the tracks alone, and they will survive. It's a fabulous book written by a brilliant, brilliant author.